Hey guys, and thanks for tuning in. We've got some more epic Loadout gameplay going on in the background. I promised some more gameplay, and here it is. I think I recorded this game probably about a week or so ago, and it was a solid gameplay, helped as well by a decent team to be fair, but I think I ended up on around 23 kills for 3 deaths or so it was a pretty nice gameplay to share. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about eSports, and more specifically I wanted to ask the question, why did developers overlook eSports? So some developers are quite big on eSports, some kind of accept it but don't really go out of their way to support it, while others just plain ignore it. I think forgetting about eSports completely is a massively missed opportunity, one that developers should start look maybe to rectify. Now I originally started playing Counter-Strike, which, whilst being a massive eSports game, it isn't always supported that way. Recently Valve done a lot more updates focusing on the public side of the game, the hostage game mode, the map makers community, which are great features, but they've kind of left out a lot of the changes and updates focusing on esports that the community have wanted and requested. They do still listen a lot of the time though, and they have supported esports in the past and will continue to do so. I of course have played Battlefield 3 competitively as well, since the game was released, and it was such a shame that no esports support was directly given to that game. I played the game at LAN, in online tournaments, and it had heaps of potential, but because key features were left out, it failed as an esports game, and in the end, esports died away. It carried on strong as a public game, and it's still being played plenty right now, but as a competitive title, that dwindled. Call of Duty is another example. It used to be a massively competitive esports game on the PC when COD 4 was around, and before that as well. But after that, the devs just went in a massively public direction, and people stopped playing it on the PC. They took away dedicated servers, they took away any sort of potential for it to be played competitively on the PC. Console gamers still stuck with it, and it is still successful in MLG, but on PC it did fall flat. Now I know that the money is in mass sales, and the majority of people are going to pick the game up for casual play single player, play a little bit of multiplayer or whatever. So why would a dev spend time working on sections of the game for the minority, i.e. esports, when they can instead work on the main game for the majority, i.e. everyone else? Well, I do think there is always ways that could make it worth their while. Supporting esports does not have to be a bad thing. By supporting esports in your game, you are constantly promoting your game at every event that plays it either online or offline. You've got a constant stream of people that are promoting your game to spectators and people alike. You are also enticing sponsors to run events and be associated with your game. When it comes to, say, Battlefield, that has a massively big potential for huge sponsors due to the way that the game is. Because it's a graphically intensive game, that means that the game can drive home hardware sales, if you like. What I mean is that if you're a card manufacturer like graphics card or processor manufacturer, you can push home how the game requires their product to get that extra FPS boost as such. Or the processor, get that extra bit of juice out of your game with our processor, etc. When you've got lesser games such as Counter-Strike or maybe even Call of Duty to a certain extent, you don't really need top-end hardware to run it, so those sponsors become a little bit null and void. But with Battlefield, it is quite a graphically intensive game, and you can kind of push home those hardware sales. Now, Shoot Mania is a great example of what I'd love to see more of. A game made specifically for esports. A game that in its basic form works well for public play, but it was made as an esports game, and it's now extremely popular. And I would love to see more of those games. I have no problem buying a game designed for esports, and I think a lot of other people would as well. I don't expect devs to just start throwing money at esports, although that would be great. I just want more of a consideration for what is such a growing scene. When Battlefield 4 comes out, I really hope esports is not forgotten. You know, we just want the ability to play the game in a competitive environment without being restricted by simple things that devs didn't add in that would have made our life so much easier. In truth, if Battlefield 3 had a spectator mode, it would still be playing right now as a competitive game, I believe. It was dropped from our local UK LAN because it was unable to be played on the main stage, as there was no spectator mode enabling them to cast the game to the crowd, and that is just such a sad story, because we had so many amazing games that I guaranteed would have made people want to just pick the game up. And that's how Counter-Strike has lasted so long. Now, developers are kind of in a weird situation right now where a lot of games are console focused and sales focused and trying to get as much into the game for the yearly iteration, and they're on tight deadlines, and esports is just forgotten about. It's all about money, 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 get the game out, make it as cinematic as possible, and esports is kind of put on the back burner. And I just wish that wasn't the case. I wish more companies like Valve, and hopefully like DICE are doing with Battlefield 4, just sit up and say, okay, I appreciate that we can do all this stuff, but we will add in a couple of features for esports to make it easier for you guys so we can push forward this game and make it last a little bit longer. And that's all I want, really, and hopefully that is something that we're going to get. It's worth noting as well that I'm kind of focusing my esports talk and ideas on FPS games, because that's what I enjoy, that's what I play. Other such games, like MMO based games, so likes of Dota, League of Legends, HON, or like StarCraft 2, things like that. These are massively, massively competitive games. And those type of games, the MMO type of games, do tend to be insanely addictive and competitive. My main focus, though, in terms of what I want to see from developers, is mainly based around first-person shooter games, really. But third-person shooters as well. I mean, the game we're playing right now, Loadout, I think that's got masses of potential to be a great competitive game. It's actually, whether it's intentional or unintentional, it's got some good features. I mean, the aiming system is very much skill-based. You know, the way that you have to track your opponent is very a la Quake. You know, the lightning gun type of shizzle going on. So sometimes developers kind of get it by accident, but I just want to see more purpose about it. You know, I just want to see more intent. But whether we will or not remains to be seen. We'll see what Battlefield 4 turns out like. But as always, guys, I really appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay and the commentary. Let me know below if you did, or if you didn't. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.